Okay, so section 3.3, this is synthetic division. So we are still dividing. We're still going to write our answers in the form P of x equals D of x times Q of x plus R of x. Synthetic is just a faster way to divide than long division. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the coefficients of our terms. So I have 2, -7. Notice that there is no x term. And then my constant is 5. So I'm going to write down the coefficients. Okay, and we want to divide by x minus 3. So we're actually going to take the opposite of this. Okay, because if x minus 3 is a factor, that means that positive 3 would be a 0. So we're going to use positive 3. So this is how we set up our synthetic division. Coefficients, and then the opposite of this right here. Okay, and what you do is you bring down the first term. I bring down the 2. I multiply the 2 by the 3 and get 6, and I'm going to write it right here. And then we're going to add. So we're adding -7 and 6 gives me -1. And then same process. The -1 times the 3 is -3. I'm going to write that right here. I'm going to add these two terms. 0 and -3 is -3. And then -3 times 3 is -9. When I add these two, I get -4. So the last number is always your remainder. This is your constant term. This is your x term. This is your x squared term, and on if you had more terms. So the quotient would be 2x squared minus x minus 3. Okay, so I have the 2, the -1 coefficient here, and the -3 here. So that's my quotient. Okay, I divided by x minus 3. And my remainder is -4. So actually I'm going to write it as -4. Okay, so this is my polynomial. All right, let's look at another one. So divide using synthetic division. So this one's just written a little differently, but we have x cubed minus 8x plus 2, and we want to divide by x plus 3. So make sure you notice that there's no x squared term. So when I start my synthetic division, I want to make sure I put a 0 in to account for the x squared term. And then I have -8 and 2. So those are my coefficients. And I want to divide by x plus 3. So I'm going to have a -3 here. Okay, once again, bring down the 1. 1 times -3 is -3, and then we're going to add. So 0 plus -3. Okay, and then -3 times -3 is 9. We add these together and get 1. And then 1 times -3 is -3. And 2 plus -3 is -1. Okay, so when I divide, this is my x squared term. This is my x term. This is my constant. And this is my remainder. Okay, so the polynomial is equal to the divisor times x squared minus 3x plus 1, and then minus 1.